You've poured your heart into your seeds and waited for those first sprouts, only to end up with thin, pale little threads desperately reaching for the light, looking like they're about to collapse. Sound familiar? It feels like you're doing everything right, but the results are disappointing year after year. Today, we're breaking down 7 key facts about supplemental lighting that will completely change your approach. These aren't just tips, they're the keys to understanding what your plants actually need. I promise by the end of this video, you'll look at your grow lights in a whole new way, and you'll know exactly how to grow sturdy, healthy seedlings instead of weak, leggy ones. By the way, let me know in the comments, what's the weirdest advice you've ever heard about lighting? I'm sure we can put together quite a collection of gardening myths. Before we dive into the secrets, let's answer a simple question. Why do we even need extra light? It's because most of us start our seeds in late winter or early spring. The days are still short, and even when the sun does come out, it's nowhere near as intense as it is in the summer. Even your brightest south-facing window only provides a fraction of the light your plants crave. Glass filters out essential rays, and the angle of the sun is just too low. Your plants, as living organisms, sense this deficit and start to panic. They switch into survival mode, stretching upward as fast as they can to reach the sun. This is exactly why we get those long, weak stems and spindly growth. Supplemental lighting isn't a luxury, it's a necessity. It mimics a full summer day, giving your seedlings the energy they need to grow strong, healthy, and resilient. First things first, and this is probably the most important takeaway, not all light is created equal. Unlike us, plants don't just need brightness, they need light from very specific parts of the spectrum. Think of a rainbow. That entire range of colors is what makes up natural sunlight. Plants have evolved to make the most of it, but they definitely have their favorites. The real engines of photosynthesis, the process that actually feeds the plant, are pigments called chlorophylls, and these pigments are most active when they're absorbing light from the blue and red parts of the spectrum. That's exactly why those early grow lights looked so strange, with that eerie pinkish-purple glow. They only put out those 2 specific colors, which we used to think were the only ones that really mattered. But nature knows best. Sunlight contains every color, and each one plays its own part, however small. That's why the modern approach is all about mimicking the sun. We now use full-spectrum lights that provide a much more natural, balanced output. Just remember, when it comes to your seedlings, the quality of the light, its spectral makeup, is far more important than just raw, blinding brightness. Now, let's take a closer look at the blue spectrum. If we think of red light as the fuel for upward growth, then blue light is more of a stop signal. It tells the plant, slow down and get strong. Blue light, with wavelengths between 400 and 500 nanometers, is crucial during the early stages of a plant's life. It promotes cell division while preventing the cells from stretching too thin. The result? Thick, sturdy stems and short internodes, exactly what every grower wants. But that's not all. The blue spectrum also stimulates a powerful root system, which is the foundation of a healthy plant. It also boosts chlorophyll production, which is why plants grown under the right blue light have such deep, vibrant green leaves. When blue light is missing, plants become leggy. The plant thinks it's trapped in the shade and tries to reach for the sun as fast as it can, pouring all its energy into a weak stem while neglecting its roots and leaves. This is why cool, daylight-balanced lighting, rich in the blue spectrum, is so essential for starting healthy seedlings. So, what exactly does the red spectrum do? If blue light is the architect laying the foundation, red light is the power plant, fueling rapid growth and future yields. With a wavelength ranging from 600 to 700 nanometers, red light serves as the primary fuel for photosynthesis. It's absorbed by chlorophyll with maximum efficiency and converted directly into energy for building green mass. While it's still important during the seedling stage, too much red without enough blue can cause plants to stretch, and become leggy. In this scenario, the plant receives a massive boost of energy, but lacks the signal to keep its growth compact and sturdy. The red spectrum truly takes center stage during the later phases of a plant's life. It's responsible for flowering, fruit development, and ripening. This is why red-dominant lamps are better suited for mature, flowering or fruiting plants, such as those in a greenhouse. For seedlings, however, the secret is balance. Blue light provides the strength and structure, while red light provides the energy needed to build healthy, lush foliage. Now, let's debunk a popular myth, the idea that green light is useless for plants. For a long time, the consensus was that plants simply reflect green light, which is exactly why they look green to the human eye. You can even find charts in biology textbooks where the absorption curve for chlorophyll drops to nearly zero in the green part of the spectrum. Based on this, manufacturers of those pink, bicolor lamps argued that adding green light was a total waste of energy. But as it turns out, it's not that simple. While it's true that chlorophyll doesn't absorb green light quite as efficiently as red or blue, it definitely still uses it. More importantly, plants contain other pigments, like carotenoids, which also drive photosynthesis and are great at capturing light in the green zone. But here's the real kicker. Green light actually penetrates deeper into the leaf. While red and blue light are mostly absorbed by the very top layer, green light travels further down, reaching the internal cells that the other colors can't. This allows the plant to use the entire volume of the leaf for photosynthesis, rather than just the surface. In the end, a full spectrum that mimics natural sunlight wins every time. Now, let's move on to the second major misconception that trips up many gardeners: the difference between power and brightness. When we shop for regular household bulbs, we usually look at lumens. This metric tells us how bright a light source appears to the human eye. Our eyes are naturally most sensitive to the yellow-green part of the spectrum, but as we've already learned, that's actually the range plants need the least. What they really crave is blue and red light. This means a standard bulb with a high lumen count could be practically useless for your seedlings because it's emitting the wrong kind of light. Choosing a grow light based on lumens is like picking your food based on its smell rather than its nutritional value. It's an indirect measurement that gives you a very rough estimate at best. What actually matters is how much light the lamp produces that a plant can actually use for photosynthesis. And for that, we use an entirely different set of measurements. All right, forget about lumens. It's time to get familiar with two new terms: PAR and PPFD. They might sound a bit technical, but they're actually quite simple. PAR stands for photosynthetically active radiation. This is the specific part of the light spectrum, from 400 to 700 nanometers, that plants actually use for photosynthesis. In other words, it's the useful light. PPFD, on the other hand, is how we measure that light. It tells you exactly how many of those useful photons are hitting a specific area, like 1 square meter, every single second. When you're evaluating a grow light, this is the most honest and important metric to look at. It doesn't tell you how bright the lamp looks to your eyes. It tells you how much food your plants are actually receiving. Reputable manufacturers will always list the PPFD values, or even provide a light distribution map for different heights. If you see these terms in the specs, it's a very good sign. Now, you might be thinking, that's all well and good, but what if I don't want to get bogged down in technical specs like PPFD, especially if the manufacturer doesn't even list them? If you're just looking for straightforward, practical advice, here is what you need to know. First, look at the actual power draw in watts. For full-spectrum LEDs, a good rule of thumb is 30 to 40 watts per square meter of shelf space. It's a bit of a generalization, sure, but it will keep you from wasting money on a light that is simply too weak to do the job. Second, pay attention to the brand of the LEDs. High-quality chips from reputable names like Samsung or Osram are much more efficient. This means they'll deliver far more usable light for every watt consumed compared to generic alternatives. Third, do a little homework. Check out reviews and real-world tests. Experienced gardeners love sharing their results, and seeing how seedlings actually grow under a specific light is often more helpful than any spec sheet. And finally, remember, if a grow light is dirt cheap but promises the world, it's almost certainly a marketing gimmick. There are no shortcuts here. Quality components cost money, but they are an investment that pays off in healthy, vibrant plants. Fact number 3, the distance between your light and your plants is often more important than the price tag. You could buy the most expensive high-powered grow light on the market, but if you hang it too high, the results will be minimal. This is where the inverse square law from high school physics kicks in. It sounds complicated, but the concept is simple. Light intensity drops off sharply as you move away from the source. In plain English, if you double the distance between the light and your seedlings, they receive 4 times less light. Triple that distance, and the light drops by a factor of 9. See the problem? The light simply dissipates into the surrounding space instead of reaching the leaves. That's why trying to light an entire room of seedlings with a single lamp hanging from the ceiling is a waste of time. Effective supplemental lighting must be localized. To get the best results, your light should be positioned directly over the plants at the closest safe distance possible. So, what is the ideal distance for your grow lights? There's no one-size-fits-all answer, as it depends entirely on the type and wattage of your setup. However, there are some general guidelines you can follow. For LED grow lights under 50 watts, the sweet spot is usually between 15 and 30 centimeters from the plant canopy. For more powerful fixtures, you'll want to increase that distance to 40 or 50 centimeters to prevent light burn. If you're using fluorescent lamps, they can be placed much closer, just 5 to 7 centimeters away, since they don't produce much heat. One crucial tip: as your seedlings grow, make sure to raise your lights to maintain that ideal gap. Using adjustable rope or chain hangers makes this process much easier. Finally, keep in mind that different plants have different light requirements. Sun-loving crops like tomatoes and peppers need high intensity, while greens like lettuce or flowers like petunias require less. That's why it's best to group them under separate lamps or adjust the height for each variety individually. Here's a simple trick to make sure your grow lights aren't too close to your plants. It's called the back of the hand test. All you have to do is hold your hand right at the top of the plant canopy, back of the hand facing up, for about a minute. If you feel any noticeable heat, the light is too low and your plants are likely overheating. This is especially important for high-powered LEDs or older fluorescent fixtures, which can put out quite a bit of heat. Keep in mind that plant leaves are far more delicate than our skin. Excessive heat causes major stress, leading to light burn, yellowing, and dehydration. Ideally, you should barely feel any warmth at all. This simple test helps you find that perfect sweet spot, the closest safe distance where your seedlings get maximum light without the risk of damage. Make sure to do this every time you adjust your lighting. The fourth fact people often ignore is that seedlings, just like us, need their sleep. Many beginner gardeners leave their grow lights on 24/7, thinking that more light will lead to faster growth. It sounds logical. More light, more photosynthesis, right? But in reality, that is a huge mistake. Plants are complex living organisms with their own circadian rhythms. Photosynthesis actually consists of 2 stages, the light phase and the dark phase. During the day, the plant stores up energy, but it's in the dark that it uses that energy to build sugars, proteins, and other essentials. In other words, the most critical growth happens at night. When you deprive a plant of its dark phase, you mess up its biological clock. It ends up in a state of constant stress, unable to process the energy it has gathered. This leads to serious issues like chlorosis. So, keeping the lights on all the time doesn't speed things up. It actually stunts development and weakens your seedlings' immune systems. So, how many hours of light do your plants actually need? For most crops, The gold standard is a light cycle of 12 to 16 hours a day. For brand new seedlings that have just sprouted, a schedule of 16 hours of light and 8 hours of darkness is ideal. This gives them the powerful head start they need to develop. As they grow, you can gradually dial that back to about 14 hours. It's important to remember that these numbers include any natural light coming through your window. For example, if your plants are sitting on a windowsill getting 4 hours of sunlight, you only need to provide supplemental lighting for another 10 to 12 hours. Keep in mind that different crops have different needs. Light-loving plants like tomatoes, peppers, and eggplants thrive on at least 14 hours of light. On the other hand, cabbage or certain flowers will do just fine with 12. Generally speaking, there's no need to exceed 18 hours of light for almost any seedling. Plants need their rest, too. Trying to stick to a strict lighting schedule manually is nearly impossible. Between forgetting to flip the switch in the morning or being away for the weekend, it's just too easy to slip up. And for your plants, any inconsistency means added stress. That's where a simple outlet timer comes in. It's a gardener's best friend. It's an affordable, straightforward device that takes the guesswork out of the process. You just set your start and end times once, and it handles everything from there. You'll find two main types: mechanical timers with a rotating dial and digital ones with a screen. Digital models are usually more precise and offer extra features, like setting different schedules for weekdays and weekends. Honestly, buying a timer is one of the best things you can do for your seedlings. It'll save you time and give you peace of mind, ensuring your plants stay on a perfect routine, getting exactly the light and rest they need to thrive. Fact number 5 might seem obvious, but it's worth repeating. A standard light bulb is not a grow light. Let's look at why. The absolute worst option for supplemental lighting is the classic incandescent bulb. Over 90% of its energy is released as heat, not light. It's basically a heater, not a lamp. If you hang it too close to your seedlings, you'll literally cook them. But if you move it far enough away to be safe, they won't get nearly enough light to grow. On top of that, the spectrum is heavily skewed toward red and infrared, which triggers leggy, weak stems. So, forget about using incandescent bulbs for your seedlings. It's not just useless, it's actually counterproductive. This also applies to halogen lamps. They're really just slightly modified incandescent bulbs with the same fundamental flaws. They run way too hot and provide the wrong kind of light. What about fluorescent lamps, or what many people call energy savers? They're a much better choice, and seasoned gardeners have been using them to grow healthy seedlings for decades. They run much cooler than incandescent bulbs and are far more energy efficient. However, they do have their downsides. First, their light output degrades over time. After a year or two, the bulb will be noticeably dimmer, even if you don't realize it. Second, while the light spectrum is better, it's still not perfect. For seedlings, the best option is a 6500 Kelvin bulb, typically labeled as cool white or daylight. These provide more of that essential blue light. In contrast, warm white bulbs, rated at 2700 Kelvin, aren't great for seedlings because their spectrum is mostly yellow and red. Overall, fluorescent lamps are a reliable choice, but they've become a bit of an outdated compromise. Today, LEDs are the clear leaders in plant lighting, and for good reason. First of all, their energy efficiency is unmatched. They convert a much higher percentage of electricity into light than any other type of lamp. Second, they stay remarkably cool. You can position a high-quality LED grow light right next to your plants without any risk of burning them. Third, they are incredibly long-lasting. A top-tier LED can last up to 50,000 hours, which adds up to years of daily use. But the real game-changer is the ability to customize the light spectrum. Manufacturers can combine different diodes to create the perfect light cocktail for specific needs, whether it's rooting cuttings, raising seedlings, or boosting flowers. That is exactly why all modern professional-grade grow lights are built with LEDs. The sixth fact involves choosing between different types of LED grow lights. You've likely seen those lamps that emit a harsh, intrusive, pinkish-purple glow. These are known as bicolor lamps. They feature a specific mix of only red and blue LEDs, which, as we know, are the two most critical spectrums for photosynthesis. While these lights are highly effective for plant growth, they have some major drawbacks for us. First, that light is incredibly taxing on the eyes and can even cause headaches, making it uncomfortable to spend time in the same room. Second, it's nearly impossible to accurately monitor your plant's health under that glow. Everything takes on a distorted, brownish-purple hue, meaning you might miss the early signs of disease or nutrient deficiency until it's too late. Because of this, bicolor lamps are a great choice for enclosed grow boxes or non-residential spaces, but they aren't ideal for your living area. A great alternative to those harsh pink grow lights is full-spectrum lighting. These lamps emit a soft white or subtle pinkish glow that is much easier on the eyes. So, how does this work? These lights typically use phosphor-coated LEDs to convert blue light into a full spectrum, or they combine a variety of diodes, mixing not just red and blue, but green and even far red as well. The result is a light profile that is remarkably close to natural sunlight. This is excellent for your plants because it provides them with a balanced diet across the entire light spectrum. It's also far more practical for the grower. Under this light, your seedlings look completely natural, which makes it easy to check the true color of the leaves, spot any issues early, and take action when needed. In my opinion, for indoor gardening, full-spectrum lights are definitely the best choice. They offer the perfect balance of healthy plant growth and a comfortable environment for your home. And finally, fact number 7. Great lighting isn't just about the bulbs. You can actually boost your setup's efficiency without spending a penny, simply by using reflectors. Think back to the inverse square law. Any light that misses your plants is effectively lost. Our job is to catch those stray photons and redirect them back to the leaves. The easiest way to do this is to set up reflective screens around your seedling shelves. You can use ordinary kitchen foil, but make sure the matte side faces the plants. This prevents concentrated hot spots that could cause burns. Even better options include specialized materials like mylar or just a simple matte white surface. In fact, white paint reflects up to 90% of light. This one simple trick can increase your light intensity by 20, 30, or even 50%, all while using the exact same lamp. Another important aspect to consider is light distribution. Even with a high-quality grow light and reflectors, the light won't be perfectly even. Plants sitting directly under the center of the lamp receive the most intensity, while those on the edges get significantly less. Over time, this can lead to uneven growth. To prevent this, there are two simple things you should do: rotate and rearrange. Every 2 or 3 days, rotate your seedling trays 180 degrees. This ensures that all sides of the plant get their fair share of light and prevents them from leaning or stretching in one direction. Additionally, once a week, it's a good idea to swap the trays' positions. Move the ones from the edges to the center and vice versa. These simple adjustments only take a few minutes, but they make a massive difference in producing strong, healthy, and uniform seedlings across all your containers. Remember, in gardening, it's often these small details that determine your ultimate success. So, let's wrap things up. Today, we've covered 7 essential facts about grow lights. We've learned that for plants, the spectrum is far more important than just raw brightness. And just like us, they need a full night's sleep to thrive. We also saw why the distance to your light can be even more critical than its wattage, and how something as simple as a bit of foil can work wonders. But the biggest takeaway is this: the perfect lighting setup isn't just about buying the most expensive lamp on the shelf. It's a complete system where every detail matters. The right spectrum, the precise distance, a consistent schedule, and even the color of your shelving. This holistic approach is what separates strong, sturdy seedlings from weak, leggy ones. Thank you so much for watching until the very end. If you found this video helpful, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel so you don't miss our upcoming gardening secrets. Now, I have a question for you. Which of these 7 facts was the biggest surprise? Or maybe you have a secret lighting hack of your own that you're willing to share. Let me know in the comments. Let's keep learning together.